You're listening to the Balanced Educator Podcast, episode number 11. Welcome to the Balanced Educator. We're your hosts, Kaylee
and Josiane from EduCalm. Our intention is to equip and empower you to feel more calm, balanced, and joyful in all aspects of your life.
Hello there. This week we are talking about how reality isn't really real. So it's going to be a fun conversation about perception, how we look at our life, and it's really going to tie in what we talked about in our last couple episodes about how our thoughts create our emotions. So also our thoughts create our reality. So we are so excited to be back with you guys. Episode number 11. Woo! We're having so much fun. Just a little recap of what we've been up to at EduCalm in the last little while. It's been a really exciting month so far, and this whole month is quite exciting. We are, last week we were in 3 different schools working with educators and with students, teaching them mindfulness, how to get started with a mindfulness practice in the classroom. We spoke at the Bloom Yoga Festival here in Winnipeg. We talked about how to practice mindfulness with the kiddos in your life and how to make it part of your routine. This weekend, Josiane is going to speak at a conference for the French daycares in Manitoba. She's going to be talking about how mindfulness can help with the mental health of the daycare workers and how having their own mindfulness practice can really help them to be their best selves when they're working with their kiddos. All right, so let's get into this episode where we're going to be talking about how reality isn't real.
Kaylee, what does that mean?
So last week we talked a lot about how our thoughts create our emotions. So our brain is really just a record of our experiences from the past. So then our brain shows us the world through the lenses of what we've experienced in the past. So say, for example, when I was a kid, I ate pizza and I got sick from that pizza. Now my brain is going to tell me that pizza makes me sick. So in the future, it's going to have a way of looking at pizza that's negative. It's going to decide that pizza is negative. So the way that we experience the world and we experience anything is really decided by what happened to us in the past. So same idea, say 2 friends, you and I, Josiane, we go to see a movie. We both went to watch the exact same movie. I might love the movie and you might dislike it. That doesn't have anything to do with the actual movie. It has to do with the lenses through which we watched the movie. And those lenses are just our experiences from the past that created our perceptions. So how can we apply this to our life? Well, everything that we experience is just a story that we're telling ourselves. So I can tell myself that I didn't like that movie, or I can tell myself that I don't have time to practice mindfulness, or I can tell myself that I don't like working out. But those are all just
stories.
Yeah, exactly.
That we've created in our minds.
Exactly. So really nothing is real. You know, like anything that you have in front of you, you're looking at it from your own perspective. You're not taking it for what it actually is. Does that make sense?
Yes. And also, it's hard to process when you're actually going into through your day-to-day.
Yeah.
Because what you're saying makes me realize how many stories I have in my head all day long.
Yeah, exactly. because that's how we have to process the world. We have to make decisions constantly on what you should do in any given circumstance. And you make those decisions based on experiences you've had in the past, whether something has been positive or negative. So then you're always just trying to make the best decision at this moment with the information you have. So at any point, we can choose to rewrite our story and our perception of anything in our life. So, Josiane, does anything come to mind right now about maybe a story that you've told yourself in the past or that you're telling yourself now?
One thing that I do that I know tons of people do, especially people who live very busy lives, is I tell myself that I have to do something or that I should do something. For example, today I have to clean my house and I have to get my laundry done. Yeah. And that's always a story.
Yeah.
That's in my head.
So we think that like we have to, but we can break that down and just say, is that true?
Yeah. Like, will my life change if I clean my house today? Do I have to do this today? Do I actually have to do this today?
Yeah. Will you die if you don't clean your house today?
Probably not.
So you don't have to clean your house today, but maybe you choose to because that's what feels good to you right now. But if that I have to clean my house today story just makes you feel bad, then you can change that story. And you can look at your messy house in a different way, right? So it doesn't have to be like a lot of us were raised that if your house is messy, you're in trouble for some reason. But like there's no one that's going to come and look at your messy house and judge it and tell you that like you're going to jail because your house is messy. You know, like if we break down what we've been taught and look at it in a new way, it kind of takes that pressure off of us in a lot of situations.
That's something also that you and I have been working a lot on within our company. Mm-hmm. Just this whole idea of like, hey, today we have to get this done. That's been something that we've been working with since the beginning, that we would create the story in our heads that, you know, we only have 1 week to like do all of these tasks. But then at some point, I feel like in the last few months, we kind of took a step back and we're like, okay, do we have to get this done now? What will change if we just take our time or wait till it feels right, till we're excited about doing it?
Yeah.
And what have we noticed? Things flow a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly. When we take that story of it has to get done now out of our minds, when we change that story to it'll happen when it's meant to happen, that's been such a huge shift for us.
Yes.
And with the intention of like, let's have more fun. Okay, the story for a lot of us is that we have to hustle. We have to work hard. We are a good person if we're working ourselves to the bone. We're a good teacher if we're going above and beyond. We're a good spouse. We're a good, right?
That's like a cultural story. Like, I feel like our entire culture is that way.
Yeah.
And it's not helping us in getting more done and being more productive. I think it's diminishing that.
Definitely. And one thing that we've noticed too is that when we take the have to and shoulds, that story off the table, it's funny because things actually get done sometimes faster because we're just allowing it to flow when it's natural instead of forcing ourselves to work on this task right now. If it doesn't feel good, we choose the task that feels good right now. And then it flows so well because that's what we're in the mood for. And that's, just instead of trying to force ourselves to do things, we do what feels good.
One thing I noticed when I was teaching in the classroom also is that I would tell myself, I have to get this done today with the kids. And there was a point where I realized that didn't work. and I flowed more easily through my day. So for example, if that morning math class was going really well and the kids were like really engaged and things were just flowing, that I could just continue math an extra half hour. What's the big deal if I don't do French? Follow that exact schedule if things are working really well. That was totally a story that I put in my head, that like I have to follow my schedule as a teacher. Like it's math and then it's French and then it's, at this time and this time. It was better once I let go of that story.
Yes, exactly. And then you can just allow the learning to unfold in a fun, natural way. And you'll get to the French later. And then maybe when you're in French class, it's going really well. So you double up on the time that you spend in French class because that's what's feeling fun and uplifting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's sometimes so hard to even notice what our stories are and what is real and what isn't real. So what's the trigger? When do we decide, okay, let me relook at this story and decide if it's serving me or if I want to change it?
I think one of the ways that we can kind of notice when we have this story in our head is when we see that we're not feeling good about something. When something feels daunting or like, you feel like you're dragging yourself through it, or just not a good feeling, that instead of just trying to get through it, that we can stop and ask ourselves, what story am I creating in my head right now?
Yeah.
And as I'm saying that, I'm like realizing how much like harder that is to get to do, then, because like I'm thinking now of like so many moments where I should. Yeah. Ooh, I'm saying it right now. I will in the future, stop myself and question, why am I feeling this way?
Yeah. Yeah, it really takes us being mindful of our emotions because like the point of life is to have fun. So if we can start noticing when we're feeling bad about something, maybe we can unravel the story we're telling ourselves so that either we have more fun while we're doing it, or maybe we just don't even do it. So I know a story that I used to tell myself a lot when I was, feeling very overwhelmed as a teacher, and I just felt like I didn't have time to make healthy meals. Sometimes if I would eat an unhealthy meal, I would really get down on myself and say, I should be eating healthy. I should, this is bad for my health, and I'm a bad person for not putting my health first. And I wish I could go back and tell that younger me, like, it's okay. Yeah. You're not going to die or put on 100 pounds or, have heart disease by like eating Kraft dinner one night. What is important right now is that you fill yourself in a way that feels good. Sometimes it feels good to have a really healthy meal, and sometimes Kraft dinner is good.
Yeah, I remember when I was in Bali, someone told me that what really hurts us is that we're worrying. That's what's actually bad for us.
Yeah.
The meal itself is not bad for us. It's the fact that we're worrying about it.
Yeah, worry is bad for our health.
So let's stop worrying.
Yeah. And then now we're telling ourselves another story that worry is bad. So now we're going to start worrying, and then we're going to be like, no, I'm not supposed to worry. So another way to unravel the stories.
So I think that for me, really the first step in all of this is to take the time to notice these stories. But once I've noticed that these stories are going on in my mind, how can I change them to to a story that feels good for me?
Yeah. So whenever I'm, feeling upset or not good around a certain subject, I like to kind of think of that subject as like an object that I'm like taking a step back from, and I'm really looking at it from all the angles as though it's like I've never seen that subject before. So say, for example, I notice that I'm feeling guilty because I didn't cross everything off my to-do list. And I'm going, okay, I don't like feeling guilty. This is a negative emotion that's created by the thoughts I'm having about it. So can I have a new thought about it? So I step back and I go, is this true? Am I a bad person because I didn't finish my to-do list? No, I'm not a bad person because I didn't finish my to-do list. And then it's kind of just a line of questioning of, another thing I'll ask myself, like if a friend of mine was me and she didn't finish her to-do list, would I judge her like I'm judging myself right now? What would I say to her?
This is so interesting because when you and I, like, say within our business, we have like our list, and if I didn't get what I wanted to get done on the list, sometimes I'll tell you, right? I'm like, oh, I didn't get through like what I wanted to today. And I feel bad about it. And meanwhile, you're like, yeah, whatever. Like, it's fine. We did, like, we're good. Like, no worries. And we're often doing that for each other. And it's starting to become more of a habit now, actually, that when I don't finish my to-do list, I'm like, hey, I did awesome today. Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah. I did everything that was meant to get done today.
Where I'm at is perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Which is very hard to rewire in our brains because we've been taught from kids that wherever you are isn't perfect. You can always do more. You can always improve. You should improve. You should go faster, harder, longer, stronger. You should be number one. I think many of us weren't taught to have compassion and love for where we are right now. So when I catch myself judging myself, like it's so much easier for me to say, Josiane, it's fine. Like, it's okay.
Relax.
Yeah. It's so much easier for me to say that to you. But for myself, it really helps for me to think of myself as though I were either a child version of myself that didn't finish her to-do list. And what would I say to a child, or what would I say to a good friend? And how would I treat them versus the story I'm telling myself and the way I'm making myself feel about the current situation.
So just the questioning.
Yeah.
So first noticing, stopping yourself, and then questioning.
Yeah. Is there another
looking at it from further away kind of deal.
Yeah. As though you're not in the situation. You're an observer, an innocent bystander that has no biases. So sometimes there are things that are on our to-do list that really do have to get done by a certain time. Like I'm thinking of report cards and things like that.
Yeah.
And so we can't not do it. We can't say, oh, it's okay if I don't get it done. But can we tell ourselves a different story that changes how we feel while we're doing it? So what would you do in that situation?
Okay, so say I had to get report card comments done, then I would...
Because our thought is always like, this is the story. Ugh, I hate doing report card comments. It takes so much time. It's so time consuming. This isn't fun. I don't want to do it. And those thoughts are what is creating the negative emotion. So if we don't want to feel that negative emotion, what new story can we tell ourselves?
We can simply tell ourselves that it's going to be great. We're going to get to write about all these amazing kids that we've been working with, to let their parents know how awesome they are. And my thought, what I was thinking about before was that also just to be organized and maybe tell yourself that you'll do one comment a day, like one course a day worth of comments for the next 2 weeks, instead of being like, I have to get all this done right now.
Yeah.
You know, I can choose to not look at it as this giant thing that has to get done, but rather like this short, what's the word I'm looking for? Like this segment, like chunking, or not chunking.
Like we teach our students to chunk, right? Let's teach ourselves to, you know, break it down into smaller pieces.
Like bite-sized pieces of work.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't call it work.
Yeah. How can this be fun? How can writing report cards fuel me and fill me up? Can we tell ourselves a story that will make us believe and experience that report cards are fun?
Yeah. And I'm even thinking like, can we add in some external goodness that will make it more fun? Like, can we diffuse our favorite oil during that time? Or can we listen to music that we love in the background? Or can we eat something delicious while we're writing our report cards, right? Like,
exactly.
What can we do to make it awesome?
Exactly. And one thing too that I think a lot of us do already is we create rewards for a job that is done. What if we reward ourselves while we're doing it? Like, why is it that we can only have fun after it's done? Why can't we have fun while we're doing it? Like, why can't I stand up between every comment and like dance to my favorite song? I can do that. That can be my new story. Why can't I, have a piece of chocolate while I'm writing the report card? I can do that. Why can't I go for a walk outside before I start writing my report cards so that I feel really good and filled up and lit up? And then now I know that I come to my desk and I'm excited to connect with the students' parents. And like you said, tell them how awesome their kid is. And let's be a team and work on this together. Let's support this child together. I think there's lots of stories that we tell ourselves in the teaching profession and any profession. There are certain things that we were told suck and we believed it. And then that's the story that we tell ourselves now.
So let's make things more fun.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. That's another thing. We have this story. We are told that, in reality, you can't have fun all the time.
No, you can.
You can. Like, why is that the story? Okay, so a recap. Reality isn't real. Anything that you experience is just a result of how you're looking at it. So, for example, coffee isn't good or bad. It's your choice of what you think about coffee that makes it good or bad. Heights. Some people like them, some people hate them. It's your choice of how you look at heights that decides whether you experience it in a good way or a bad way. Report cards, good or bad. It's your story about report cards that makes you feel the way that you feel. So anything in our life, we have the power to rewrite the story. It's not easy. It's not even always easy to recognize that you are telling yourself a story around your experiences. But we can slowly start to practice just looking at some of the easy things in our life in a new way. Traffic, good or bad? Well, I love listening to podcasts, so I had a little more time to listen to my favorite podcasts, so it can be good. Or I'm in a rush and I should have been there 5 minutes ago, and therefore traffic is bad. Again, it's the story that you tell yourself. So Josiane, now we sort of get the steps of how to rewrite our own stories to see reality in the way that feels good for us. How can we share this with the kiddos in our life?
One thing that we can do is we can be very enthusiastic. I'm thinking from a teacher's perspective in the classroom, be very enthusiastic about the work that has to get done. Maybe, again, we don't call it work. That's apparently something I need to work on. Maybe we call it activities, or how can we make, boring math or whatever not boring? How can we change that story so that things are fun and exciting for the kids so that they want to participate, they engage more easily, and they're happier in their classrooms.
It also gives us an opportunity to teach some growth mindset too. So if you have, in any classroom, you're going to have some students that love math and some that hate it. Why not have a conversation about that? Why is it that you don't like math? The answer might be, well, I'm not very good at math. Then you can have a conversation of, well, that's just a story you're telling yourself. It's not true. Everyone can learn. Everyone can learn anything.
This is a true fact in my life. I told myself my whole life I was terrible at math. And one day I had to take a math class in university because it was a prerequisite to, I don't know, the next thing.
Yeah.
But I, at that point, finally, after 19 years of my life, decided that I was going to be good at math. And literally that mindset shift changed like how good I was at math. I think I became good at it.
And you were really good at teaching math.
And I love teaching math. It's actually my one of my favorite courses to teach. And it's crazy that it just one day I realized, and I was pretty young then, that I didn't like the way I thought about myself and math. So I just changed that thought, and it's been completely different ever since. So this is a great conversation that we can have with kids, and they understand this stuff if we take the time to talk to them about it.
Yeah. So we can walk them through the same steps of, okay, how are you feeling? Why are you feeling that way? What's the story you're telling yourself? Can we tell a new story that changes how we feel about it? Or how can we make this thing more fun? How can math be fun? Can you use your favorite, color highlighter? Can you, have your favorite drink while you're, there's so many different ways that we can make something fun, make it more enjoyable, or change our whole perception around it and introduce this growth mindset.
I love that.
Yeah. So hopefully you guys followed along and enjoyed this conversation that we were having about why reality isn't real. It's kind of a mind-blowing concept and almost difficult to talk about.
Yeah, I did not find it easy to explain all of that.
If you guys have any questions, we would love to share more and answer your questions. You can connect with us on Instagram @educalm. That's EDUCALME. And if you haven't already left a review for the Balanced Educator podcast on iTunes, we would really, really appreciate it if you do. You can do that by going on to iTunes. When you search for our show, so you'll click on the little search icon and then type in the Balanced Educator podcast. When it comes up, there'll be a space for you to leave a review. Your reviews, we read them all. We appreciate them so much.
They make us so happy.
Yes. We love connecting with you guys. And also it helps other people that are looking for podcasts on education, mindset shifts, mindfulness to help us when we have, or to find us when we have more reviews. So thank you so much for that.
Have a great week.
Yes, we will talk to you next week on the Balanced Educator Podcast.